Hey guys, Tony here, and I'm excited to reveal the final build of my home theatre. My YouTube channel started with my home theatre journey back in January of 2020, and those who have been along for the ride will know about the ups and the downs and all of the issues that I had to overcome to get the room to where it is today. I'm about to hit 40,000 subscribers, which is a number that I never believed I would see on my channel when I started. So I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has been supporting what I do here on YouTube and give you my commitment to working hard to bring you more dedicated home theatre content. There is plenty to cover off in this one, with the room having been torn down, almost starting from scratch again. I'll have time lapses and full breakdowns for you, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. And guys, if you enjoy the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up as well, as it really helps me out when you do. But let's get into it. As most people who build a home theatre will tell you, compromise is the name of the game. No room is perfect, and while there are things that you can do to improve a room, some things will just be out of your control to fix, such as me making my room 1 meter longer, which would have been better. I also have a pillar in the back right corner, as that is where the water pipe goes to the upstairs, and not having one on the other side made the room look uneven. Acoustically, this doesn't make a big difference, but it always bothered me, and this is what triggered my home theatre rebuild journey. So I got my friend John, who helped me with the original plinth for the Krix MX10 speaker wall, to come back and do some more construction work to even out the room and give it the polish it needed. It just so happened that at the time I was getting the itch to put front wides in, and I thought, why not change my surround speakers to match? I'd always had this vision in my head of the Krix Hyperphonics 45 speakers poking through the curtains, so I hatched a plan to change them all. And as anyone who knows how these things work, it just snowballed out of control and it became a full-blown rebuild project. So while I was waiting for the speakers to arrive, John got to work building the wall, while I removed all of my Krix IW50 speakers so that we could prepare the walls for the Hyperphonics 45s. So we got the room prepped and ready for patch and paint, this time with the room having the symmetry I was after. I also added at this time a custom cut to measure step tread, which had the provision for LED lighting so that I could shine it down the carpet riser. This cost me $1,200 delivered, and while there are much cheaper options, this one gave the exact look and function I was after. It was at this point that I decided that I had to have a professional job done for my curtains. So I engaged my friend Shannon from Highland Shutters, who is a local to my area. I wanted to have a neat S-wave with the curtains being evenly spaced and not dragging on the floor, and also to wrap around the front of the screen. I also needed to allow a space behind them for my acoustic panels, because while the curtains would help with absorbing some of the high frequencies, they do little for the lower frequencies. So it was important to me to have the acoustic panels behind at the key reflection points as well. I also wanted a pelmet for the curtains so that I could have LED lights shining down, so that meant a great deal of measuring and planning, which we were able to get done almost perfectly. I chose a textured black fabric, which is slightly see-through, so Shannon recommended a black block-out backing, which would also solve the issues I have in my room with light bleed through the sliding door and the shutters. I also worked out the measurements for the pelmet to gap the curtains with some leftovers Shannon had from an old job, and I fabricated some spaces for the speakers, which I attached to some plywood for some extra bracing. John started painting the room to give it the final touch-ups. After we finished, we were ready for the next step, which was curtains and speaker installation. As well as adding the LIFX LED strips for lighting. I'm thrilled with the end result, so why not let me know what you think down in the comments section. If you're in the Sydney area and looking for quality theatre curtains for your room, I highly recommend Shannon from Highland Shutters. I've been extremely pleased with the final outcome, and I couldn't be happier with the service that I received. Check out the link in the description below to find out more. As I mentioned earlier, I decided to replace my IW50 speakers with the Krix Hyperphonics 45s for all of my surround speakers. Not because the IW50s weren't good enough, but because I wanted a consistent speaker throughout the room that could be angled in any direction using the special brackets. To achieve this, I created mounts to space them off the wall and aimed them all towards the main seat for the optimal sound experience. The Hyperphonics 45 speakers have a rich, sweet sound to them. With their 92 decibel sensitivity, they can handle plenty of power and deliver excellent sound quality. I also love the fact that they are not only stylish and look great without the grills, but they can be angled in any direction, which allowed me to use them as wides and have my rear surrounds all aiming towards the main chair. I had a clear vision in my head of what I wanted the setup to look like, and I even created a SketchUp of my room when it was still just an idea. Since then, I knew that the Krix Hyperphonics 45 speakers were the perfect choice to bring my vision to life. I placed an order through my good friend Mick from Sydney Hi-Fi Motorvale, who hooked me up with most of the gear in my room since I started my YouTube journey. So make sure you check out the links in the description if you're interested in Krix or home theatre in general. Mick's your man. So having the speakers all set up and dialed in, I'd also purchased a new Volcanic Slim subwoofer, which took my setup to 9.4.6. And while I had the bass sounding great with 3 subs, I really wanted the symmetry to continue. So I added the additional Volcanic Slim to the other side of the seats to match the first one. These are an incredible subwoofer, heaps of output, and go down to 15 Hz. And yes, 4 subs are now in my setup, and I'm not using the Mini DSP for this, as I have them connected to my Trinnov Altitude 16 processor, which has programmable outputs. More on that later. Of course, my room would not be complete without showing off the Krix MX10 wall of sound. This has been my endgame speakers since I installed them, and they are every bit as good as the day I got them. With a 10-inch driver, they are just cinematic weapons, making my room feel like you're literally in the middle of the movie. Placed in a baffle wall configuration, they even helped with the acoustics of the room, with material on the front of the speaker to absorb sound coming back toward them. I had to have a way of showing them off, so I built a Youthman inspired hinge for my screen so that I could lift them up and show them off, lit up with my Govee LED strips around the outside of the alcove. Part of the original plan buying 3 5-channel amps was so that I could add front wides to the setup, but by adding an additional subwoofer, that took me to 19 channels of processing required. The Altitude 16 having only 16 channels meant that I could have used my trusty Mini DSP and go through a single output with the 15 speaker channels and a single LFE channel. However, I took advantage of the free upgrade from Trinnov by using the digital outputs at the back to expand with an additional 4 channels, which could be used for the subwoofers. This did require 2 external DACs, and the recommendation from Krix was to go with a Cambridge DAC Magic, which would take the digital signal from the Trinnov and convert it to analog for the subwoofers. With some assistance from my friend Michael from Krix, who came up last year to help me install and set up the Trinnov initially, we were able to get in there and calibrate the Trinnov remotely with the +4 and get the room sounding absolutely off the chain. I couldn't be happier with how the audio has turned out in my room, considering it's not an ideal size or aspect ratio, more like a cube. It just shows the power of the Trinnov to get the room sounding as good as it does. Part of the home theatre journey was always having the Krix and Trinnov combo, and I have to say that I've been fortunate in many ways to get to know the team at Trinnov during my trip to ISE in Barcelona earlier this year at ISE 2023. So if you're interested in seeing that room tour, I'll leave a card above so that you can check it out after this video. Going back to my design after I'd seen a room Mick had built which features the Artnovion Valley CS panels, I knew that I had to have them. These panels are unique because you can have any type of backing such as an absorber, diffuser, bass trap or blanks to hide a speaker, and then you can pick any of the matching acoustically transparent covers in the range to go over them. Made in Italy, these Artnovions are exactly what I was after to give the unique and interesting look to my room, which would work well with the lighting setup. I chose the dark grey instead of black, as they were behind the seating, they wouldn't be distracting during a movie, and I'm so glad that I went with this over a standard black, as they add a real point of interest to my room. My dad took some time one afternoon to come round and help me install them, and I have to say I'm really pleased with how they turned out. Pretty much exactly like my SketchUp. Not too difficult to install, you just have to measure and allow for the 4mm gaps between the panels. I'll leave links down in the description to where you can buy them. As well as Krix and Trinnov, I'm a big fan of Valencia Home Theatre Seating, and I'm beyond excited to share with you my very own custom theatre seats based on the Oslo design. I will put it out there right now and say that I really have no business having a front row as my room is just too small, but I couldn't pass up on the opportunity to put a set of my very own branded Oslos in my room. I will make it as clear as possible that the main position is the row of 3 at the back, but as I have a family of 5, it's nice to be able to get everyone in a chair instead of laying on the floor for a movie. Even if it's a compromised position, I really didn't care as it's important for me to have enough seats for the whole family, and while keeping the main viewing position unobstructed. These seats are the Oslo Ultimate Luxury, and I was able to use the Valencia customizer to pick my own color, stitching, piping and cup holders, as well as providing my logo to Valencia to stitch into the headrest. These seats feel very special when you sit in them. They are 20,000 grade Italian Napa leather with a matte non-reflective finish with diamond stitching and perforated leather inserts that go from edge to edge. I chose the color graphite, which is a little different to the onyx on my back row, but in the dim light you really can't tell, and the actuator motors in these seats are smooth, featuring automatic seat memory position for 3 points of recline with the neck, back and legs, as well as having the RGB lighting options. These seats are the perfect way to enjoy a movie. The foam is soft yet firm enough to support you for longer viewing sessions, and the solid frame and durable leather give you that ultimate feeling of luxury. And even though I technically shouldn't have a front row, it gives a real theatre vibe when I'm sitting in my main seated position. You can also see my set of Tuscany Ultimate Luxury, which are in the main position. These have the same features as the Oslo Ultimate Luxury. I just ordered the Valencia cleaning kit, which I used to bring them back to life after they did get a little dusty during the home theatre construction. There is a cleaner and a conditioner as well as a microfiber cloth, which keep them looking like new. Valencia Theatre Seating have been very generous with me, allowing me a way to support my channel by becoming a dealer for them here in Australia. So if you're in the market for some home theatre chairs, drop me an email and I'll see how I can help you out. For those international buyers, there are links down in the description, and any purchases made don't come at an extra cost to you, but it does go a long way in helping me support the channel's running costs for things like new cameras, lenses, lighting, and home theatre products to review. The links will be down in the description. Part of this journey was to redo my rack, and I wanted to make it look more professional, so my good friend Leo came over to give me a hand, and we got to work rebuilding it from the ground up. I had ordered some AC Infinity 1 rack unit extraction fans which pull the hot air out of the rack, and we positioned them above each of the amps to pull out the hot air. I have extraction in the top of my closet, and I don't run the rack with the door on, so the hot air comes out and rises up and out of the room, keeping the ambient temperature down during long movie watching sessions. One of the cool things I was able to source from the USA was a 1/3 rack unit blanking panel to slip between the uneven gaps, as the amps have feet on them, and as they sit on a shelf, I couldn't line them up perfectly, so these 1/3 RU panels just finish things off nicely. Starting at the top of the rack, I have the Sanus task light and the LED tubes down the side which plug into the Sanus multi-volt power adapter, which also eliminates the need for having low voltage power bricks taking up unnecessary space. Then I have the Zapiti reference 4K player, which I absolutely love having in the setup. I added it in after the rack build as I was waiting for it to arrive, and I did actually do a review on it recently, which I'll leave in a card up above. It does allow me to have my own personal Netflix style library ripped from my 4K discs, and does Dolby Vision, HDR, and yeah, it's just great to have it rack mounted in my setup. Under that, I also have the Zidu Z1000 Pro on a shelf behind the custom lights that some of my Discord members surprised me with. They surprised me with this light last year, and it's just an awesome community that we have growing on Discord, so I'll leave a link down in the description if you'd like to join in the fun. I love having the Zidu in my setup, as sometimes I like to switch between the Zidu and the Zapiti, and I do plan on doing a comparison video very soon, so make sure you subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that video. But on that shelf at the back, I also have the Apple TV, Nvidia Shield, and HD Fury VR Room, which unlocks the full potential of my various players and projector by allowing Dolby Vision, which is awesome. That's something else I need to make a video on as well, so stay tuned for that one. Next, we have the brains of the whole room, which is the Trinnov Altitude 16 processor. What more is there to say about this the endgame processor for your home theater. Yes, it's on the higher end price-wise of the market, but Trinnov allows up to 20 channels of processing using the DAC Magics, which I have stored on a shelf with a door to hide them as my OCD was just not liking the silver fronts. But the Trinnov is really a game changer when it comes to audio track reproduction. The best part about it is that being a software-based processor, whenever there are updates or changes to the various codecs, it's a simple software update to get it into the Trinnov versus having to physically upgrade the whole machine. I was fortunate enough to travel to Barcelona to meet the team at Trinnov and did an interview with their CEO and founder, Arno Labori, about some of their newest groundbreaking technology. So I'll leave another card up above for that interview as well if you're interested. For the Krix MX10 subwoofers, I now have the brand new Krix KA1100 subwoofer amplifier, which is a brand new amp made by Krix for their MX5, MX10 and Cyclonics 11 and 12 passive subwoofers. This is a new addition to my setup and features presets for my MX10, so all the filters and the high pass and low pass are set and ready to go, with a 12 volt trigger on the back to allow it to turn on with my other amps. It has 500 watts per channel in mode 2, which is for my MX10s, but can do up to 700 watts per channel in mode 3 for non-Krix subwoofers as well. It has a really nice design, so it can be used in a casual setup without making it look like an ugly PA amplifier, and it also has a magnetic grille on the front as well. To power the speakers, I have the Krix Electra Theatre HD2 5-channel amplifiers. These are 5 by 190 watts per channel and were another item that I was determined to get my hands on before I even thought about the Trinnov. I love these amps, how they work and look in the rack. With plenty of power for the setup, they are extremely reliable and have never skipped a beat since having them in my setup. Now, the final piece of the puzzle when it came to my endgame setup was always going to be the projector. In a room my size, only the Epson projectors had the throw distance to get me 120 inches. Well, that's what I thought. Shane from InTouch Electronics, who also set up my friend Matt's home theater, he supplied me with my dream projector to test out and see if it would actually fit in my room, which to my shock it actually did. It took me around 5 months of grinding and saving up to get the funds together, but it was good to get a native 4K projector into my setup, and the JVC black levels are best in class. I have actually made a video with my buddy Leo, who is an excellent calibrator, so the image I get is beyond anything I ever imagined that I would get in my room. I will have a full review of the NP5 that I shot with Leo coming on my channel very soon. Having the JVC and the Trinnov, Krix, Valencia and my custom curtains really just finished off my room, and to tie it all together I am running the Home Assistant with the Harmony Elite remote to do things like turn off my star ceiling when I hit play, as well as dim my lights and then back on when I hit pause. I also have a flick button at the entrance and at my main seat to further control the lighting in my room to make it easy to get around, as the room is 100% black when everything is turned off. Guys, I want to say that my personal home theater journey for this room has come to an end. There is literally nothing else that I want to do for the foreseeable future. I did have my heart set on a Mad VR, but I'm in dire need of a new car, so I will be saving up for that over the next year. I can honestly say that I left no stone unturned with this final rebuild. Every little thing that bugged me about my room, like the lack of symmetry, the light bleed, the lack of native 4K, it's all been done. I'm not sad that it's done, because now I get to enjoy the room every day after a long day at work, and it's like my oasis which I get to share with my family and friends. I have to say a big thank you to Michael from Krix, Mick from Sydney Hi-Fi Monavale, Shannon from Highland Shutters, John from JTM, and my buddy Leo for all of his help and encouragement on this part of the journey. Finally, a massive thank you to my wife Mim for all of her support and encouragement on this YouTube and home theater journey. I could not have done this without you. As well, I'd like to thank all of my subscribers, Discord members, and close friends that I've made along the way. I really appreciate you following my channel and watching my videos. But as I always say at the end of my videos, that's it for this one. You'll catch me in the next one. Bye for now.